Hi everyone. In the last class, we have seen the concept of how to create an XSD and link with the XML file along with the execution. Okay, fine. I have taken a very simple example where where I am going to have an XML file that I am going to link with the XSD schema. XSD schema. Okay, fine. And also, I have made some restrictions here. So how many number of minimum number should exist? Minimum number of employees should have to exist at least one, and the maximum I can go for unbounded. Unbounded. What does it mean? Unbounded means I can go for n number of employees. If I made here as minimum number of employees as 3, minimum number of employees as 3 by using the attribute min occurs. If I go for this jemployees.xml, if I try to validate here, it is going to provide an error because here I have taken only one employee, but according to schema, it is asking for minimum 3 employees. If I go for adding 3 employees, click on validate, it is going to validate now because it is going to satisfy this structure. Okay, so meaning that I can able to impose restrictions for any kind of XML file by using these attributes min occurs and max occur attributes. Yes. Now what I will do is I will go for taking some more kind of restrictions. One minute, Amma. Okay. So if we go for restrictions in XSD, what does it mean? I can able to impose restrictions, meaning that what kind of input I need to get, what kind of thing I need to get. For example, whenever I'm asking for the salary of a person, I can able to provide some kind of restrictions to this salary. Like for example, the salary should be minimum 12,000 and maximum 75,000. Like this I can able, meaning that the LL should be greater than 12,000, less than 75,000. This kind of input I can able to expect. For example, I am asking for gender. What kind of data I need to allow? I can able to allow either M or F. I can't allow other than any kind of data. So these are all the things which we call it as a regular expression sum. Regular expressions, guys. If you observe here also in errors, for example, instead of 101 I can go for some jaya. If I validate here, you will get like value does not match the regular expression. What is regular expression? It is not matched with the actual requirement. It is byte, but here I am giving it as input as number. Okay, fine. So this regular expression concept already we have seen in the JavaScript. Okay, fine. Now, how we are going to create these restrictions? By using various kind of attributes are there, Amma. Like, let me take only few, like inclusive. Min inclusive, meaning that the minimum value which you need to give as input. Max inclusive, the maximum value which you need to give as input. Min exclusive, max exclusive. Guys, what does it mean? Inclusive and exclusive. If the I hope you know the difference between these two. This is what? Open parenthesis and full square parenthesis. Similarly, inclusive means the bounded value. 12,000, 75,000 also included. Exclusive means other than 12,000 and 75,000 you need to get. So sorry, I will take. So inclusive means, for example, I am defining as 1 comma 5. 1 comma 5, meaning the inclusive means I need to include both 1 as well as 5, meaning that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I am saying that exclusive, 1 comma 5, what does it mean? I don't want to include 1 and 5. I would like to input only 2, 3, 4. This is the difference between inclusive and exclusive. I can go for like max length, min length, pattern. Guys, in JavaScript you have seen already the pattern concept, right? So in pattern concept you have seen the square brackets followed by like this /d, star, dot, all these concepts we can able to apply here, the pattern thing. Total number of digits, fraction digits, white spaces, enumeration. Like this, we can have various kind of restrictions are there. Okay, fine. Anyway, what we are going to do, guys, these things are act on the inputs. These things are act on the various kind of inputs. Where the inputs are available, the inputs are available are always on the what kind of inputs? Simple elements are always available on the simple elements. So in order to create a restriction, what you have to do is you need to create a simple element. So general lemma, how we are going to create a simple element? Element name equal to element name. We are going to define as a type of the element. This is what the general declaration. But if you go for the concept of restrictions in simple elements, then what we are going to do is we are going to, so I will take the syntax. What we are going to do is we are going to take element. What is the name of the element? The name of the element you have to take. In that, we have to define it as a simple type. So if you are going to define the complex elements, we are going to define like complex element, right? Complex type. So whenever you're trying to define a restrictions, we have to define the tag as a simple type. Define the tag as simple type. In that, we have to go for the tag called restriction tag. The tag called restriction tag. Restriction tag. In that, one of the attribute is base attribute, which is going to define the data type of the data. The data type of the data. Okay, restriction. And so I'm going to close this restriction. I'm going to close this simple type. I'm going to close the element. I'm going to close the element. Now, in this place, we need to define, we need to use various kind of predefined attributes. For example, let me take a simple example once again. Simple example. For example, I would like to have a salary. Element name equal, what is the name of the element? For example, salary. What type it is? I need to define a simple type. When I'm going to define the simple type, whenever I would like to impose a restriction, then only I need to define as simple type. So what is the restriction? By using the restriction tag, I can go for what is the data type? For example, let me take the decimal. And I'm going to close the restriction. I'm going to close the simple type. I'm going to close the element. In between here now, we need to define. So for example, minimum salary should be. So minimum inclusive I am going to define. Min exclusive also you can write. For example, minimum salary should be 10,000. What about the maximum salary? For that I can go for max inclusive value equal to something like 75,000. Value equal to 75,000. So what does it mean? There is an element called salary, which is of simple type, which should have minimum 10,000 as salary and maximum 75,000 as salary. Yes, like this you can go for. Or else, for example, instead of salary, I can go for something like gender. Guys, for a gender, what we are going to do? We are going to accept either input as a male or female. At the time, you are going to define everything as same. Instead of this, what you can do? You can define the patterns. So based on requirement, you can go for pattern. So the value, which value you want to define the value. What is the value? Either male or female. So for that, I am going to use MF. Guys, this meaning you know, right? If I define like this, capital A to small z, what is the mean? Any single value from capital A to small z. Capital A to capital Z. Any single capital letter from capital A to capital Z. What does it mean? A to Z, small a to Z. So you know the meaning. What does it mean? 0 to 9. Any value from 0 to 9, but it is going to give as one input, one value as output. That is from 0 to 9. Male, female. Any value, either male or female. That's it. So like this, we can go for various kind of restrictions. Instead of this, you can go for min exclusive and max exclusive patterns. Like for example, I would like to have always a 3-digit number. Pattern value equal to 0 to 9, 0 to 9, 0 to 9. I can close a simple line. Or I would like to have a phone number, always a 10-digit phone number. Pattern value equal to 0 to 9. You can go for 10 digits. So this kind of things already you know. All the JavaScript expressions. Right? Yes. Fine. So this is what the concept of restrictions. And I would like to add some more attributes concept here. So that is XSD attributes. So execution itself, I will show everything. So attributes concept is similar to DDD concept, Amma. How we are going to create an attribute means the simple. There I am going to use like exclamation capital attribute list. Capital attribute list. Yeah, fine. Here, if it comes to the concept of this XSD, we are going to use same thing. The attribute, the name of the attribute, and the type of the attribute. The type of the attribute. If you want, you can go for some further attributes also. For example, my attribute name is my attribute is attribute I am going to define. So my attribute name is course ID. My attribute name is course ID. If you would like to define the type, course ID is always in the form of, like, for example, any kind of integer. Let me take any kind of integer. I can define as integer. That's it. Okay. For example, in DTD we have seen the what those like are required, meaning that it is compulsory. Fixed means this value won't change. Something like default value. If you didn't return anything, it is going to take the default value. So like this we have seen in DDD. Similarly, the same kind of things here also we can apply with the help of the attribute called use attribute. If I write like use equal to required, there we are going to define like hash required. Here we are going to write like use equal required. This should be compulsory given by the user. If it is fixed, it value won't be changed. If it is not written anything, it is by default. If you are not defining any kind of required, it is optional one. Whether the user is writing or not, it won't bother about anything. Yeah. Okay, Namma? Fine. So I will take this one with the help of an example in the program itself. Yeah. Fine, guys. Now we will see the execution part. Yes, this is what we have seen in the previous class. Now what I will do is I will go for taking one more example, which is library schema. So library.xsd. So this is what I will explain. And one more is library.xsd. I think yes, library.xsd. Yeah, guys. So this concept already you know, except these two. Yes. Now we can understand this one clearly, right? So no namespace schema location, meaning that it is what it is would like to communicate with the library.xsd file. So if you want to use this no name schema location, I need to take the import keyword that is XMLNS, because this attribute is available in this package. Yeah. So there is a library in that will have n number of branches. If you take the first branch, it contains the various kind of books: book name, book publisher, book price. Similarly, the same thing is repeated for n number of branches. According to requirement, here they have added one attribute. They have added an attribute for branch. What is that? B underscore name. That attribute is B underscore name. So this first branch is related to CSC and second branch is related to EC. And if you observe the schema, right, you can understand. So XML NS, XML schema. Why I have taken this XML NS? Because I would like to make execute all the predefined tag like schema, element, complex type. That is why I have taken all these things. So by default, I have to make the unqualified elements as qualified elements. unqualified elements as qualified elements. Yes, that is the reason I have taken the qualified. Yes, next I have taken the root element as library. That library element is a complex type. I have to follow all the elements in the sequential format, and that in that I have taken a branch. So maximum number of occurrences I have defined as unbounded. Whatever the minimum number of occurrences I didn't define. So minimum number of occurrences by default it is one. By default it is one. Max occurrence is unbounded. So that is why I can able to add n number of branches. I can able to add n number of branches even though so the form is valid. So to make it avoid confusion, I am taking yes. Maximum number of occurrences. Yes. Now this branch is also a complex type. This branch is also a complex type. It contains book name, book publish, and book all the things. Book name, book publish, book string, and integer type. String, and integer type. Yes. Now here comes the concept of attributes. So for a branch, I have to add an attribute. For a branch, I have to add an attribute. So meaning that first I have to define all the sub elements. Then I have to go for adding an attribute. How we are going to add an attribute? Attribute name. What is the type of the thing? What is the type of the thing? That is what I said, right? Attribute name, type of the attribute. Type of the attribute. And this attribute is an element which is available in which package, which namespace? Access namespace. So that is why I have taken this element. So it will come under which this attribute will be added to which one? The branch attribute, branch tag. Yes, I'm going to close all the things, remaining thing in same manner. So I'm going to validate this XSD. Yes, the file is valid. Now I'm going to for library.xml. I'm going to click on validate. The file is valid, meaning that it is exactly perfectly following the rules which are imposed by this one. The rules which are imposed by, for example, I'm defining here as min occurs equal to 3. Min occurs equal to 3. Guys, now you can understood what is the result you are going to get. You are going to get as error because they are asking minimum number of branches as 3, but here we are providing minimum number of branches as only 2. So to overcome that, I am going to define one more thing. So just for the sake of simplicity, branch equal to, I am going to take as civil, my favorite one, civil. C language, something like JK publisher, something like 12,000. Okay. Now if I click on validate, now it is valid because it is satisfying this kind of requirement. It is kind of this kind of requirement. Guys, if I observe, if I interchange the order of the elements, what happened, guys? You are going to get an error. B underscore price not allowed for content model because first it has to follow B underscore publish, then it has to follow B underscore price. So that thing we will get because of sequence. If you go for choice, out of these 3, so instead of this sequence, if I go for choice, out of these 3, you have to allow only one element. If I go for here as all has to be occurred, but those can be come in any order. I would like to go for only in sequence. Yes. Guys, 1 minute. Yes. So that is the reason now I can click on validate. The file is valid. Yes. So up to here we have already know. Now comes to concept. Yes, attribute we have seen extra thing. Now one more thing I explained there. One of the thing is use attribute. 1 minute, Amma. One of the thing is use attribute. Amma. For example, I'm going to use attribute as P, optional, prohibited, like this you are going to get. I'm going to define as required. Now if I click on valid, there is no error. For example, I have removed the required attribute B underscore name. If I click on valid, you will get an error. Missing required attribute B underscore name. See, you are going to get the error also. In which location you are going to get the error. So you have to compulsory make. That is the advantage of use attribute. Like this, we can go for use of all this required, fixed, default, everything. So default means the value which you are going to define that will act as a default value. For example, the course name is default as Java or web technology. That is default value. So like this, you can go for the usage of attributes. You can do go for the attributes. Yes, guys. Yeah. Now we'll see one more thing. So attributes we have seen. We'll see this restrictions concept. Yeah, right. So now my requirement is, uh, for example, I have taken this example. So I think for price, let me open that. Open jl.xst. Hmm. I will made in only one single shot. Yes. So I think. Yes. So what it is, every book price I'm going to define as some minimum value. Every book price I'm going to define as some minimum value and some maximum value. Some maximum value. Yes, guys. I hope library.xsd you have completed. Now what it is, I'm going to link this file with jl.xsd. 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 So if you observe that this jl.xsd, the same thing which is similar to library.xsd, but here you can observe Minakas I didn't return. I will make it copy. Minakas has 3 times. So sequence book name I have as it is, book published. Now I have taken the book price. I have taken the book price. So book price is a kind of restriction. So to make it that I have used the simple type in that restriction tag. So restriction tag I have defined the type of the restriction and I have made the close restriction as well as simple type. Between these restriction tags, I have to define the kind of patterns, the kind of restrictions I need to define, like min exclusive, max exclusive, min inclusive, max inclusive, pattern, or whatever it may be. So the thing is, minimum value of this book price should be 5,000 and maximum value should be 20,000. That is what I define. Or as it is a book cost, I'm going to define minimum value is 500, maximum value is let me take 10,000. Maximum value is let me take 10,000. Yes, guys, and this attribute is already this concept. So for example, I'm defining as use as required. Yes, guys. Now, if I go for, so I made link this library.xml file with the jl.xsd. jl.xsd. If I click on validate, you will get n number of errors. N number of errors. Guys, observe at line number 20. Line number 3. Fat error during schema scan. Observe, guys. For example, I made it available 500, 10,000, right? Fat error during second line 103, I think. Where is that? So first, let me take validate this one. See, here itself you are going to get an error. In the jl.xsd, we are getting error. So here, what is that? White space is expected. So right, so you can go for giving the some space. Some space. Now it is going to validate. The file is now valid. Now if I go for library.xml, if I click on valid now, observe here at line number 11, character 27 you are getting. So what is that? Value 22,000 must be less than or equal to max inclusive facet value 10,000. So meaning that it should be less than 10,000. For example, I'm making it as 9,000. And at line number 16, 12,000 must be less than or equal to the 10,000. So it is also, for example, some 8,000. Some 8,000. For example, let me take here as 450. If I click on valid, now we'll get this error. value 450 must be greater than or equal to min inclusive of set value 500. So meaning that this is the restriction that we are doing. So that is the reason we can go for like this. Click on valid. I can go for it is valid now. Meaning that every attribute value, every simple element value, I can able to validate with the help of these restrictions. This restriction, yes. But by using restriction tag, you have to do that. Yes, guys. Yes. Okay, fine. For example, I will let me take one more kind of thing like for example gender. I will open this one. J.xsd, I think. Yes, guys, if you observe, I have taken the same schema which is similar to this employee.xsd file, like employee number, employee name, employee salary. But for I think I have added one more extra tag called gender tag, gender extra tag called gender tag. So that is a kind of simple type and whose value is of type string type. I have defined a pattern. That pattern is I have to allow either a male or female. If I click on valid, it is valid. If I click on jemployees.xml, so it is linked with which file? Employee.xsd file. But I need to link with je.xsd file. je.xsd. Yes. If I click on valid, now we'll get another missing element content model gender. So gender is missed. I need to define the gender. Gender as M. For example, gender. Now it is valid. Now it is valid. Okay, because it is linked with j.xsd. j.xsd. Yes. For example, if I pass f, click on valid. Now also the file is valid. If I pass instead of this f, I can go for j. Click on this one. Value j does not match the regular expression face at mf. Regular expression jmf. So here it has to pass either m or f. Either m or f. That's it. Okay, guys. Or else, if you want, you can go for any kind of numerical value. So, for example, so for timing, I'm defining 0 to 9. 0 to 9. Now, if you click on validate, you will get an error. You get an error. For example, if I pass something like 9, something like 9, now it is valid. So like this, you can go for restrictions and usage of the restrictions on the schema. Okay, now guys, I think I have covered everything related to this XSD concept. Attributes, restrictions, how to link an XML file with the XSD, all these things. Yeah, fine. I hope you understood it clearly. Thank you.